talking about. Late Ill Kid at OneYoungsta holding it down, bringing that StreetGeek and NERDSoul. What is up, my people? Today, all year, coming with another wonderful episode of That's Right, You Best Believe We Ain't Telling You No Lies, NERDSoul Sports. Hit that thumbs up, go and subscribe, do all them wonderful things. But I ain't by myself. Oh, no. Right over here, you got the conspiratorial one. You know what I'm saying? Got hits in the streets at this moment. Parker P.L. Lewis.
What's good? It feels so good to be back on NERDSoul Sports. What's going on, peoples?
Man, it's because we didn't get, you know, you've been blowing up. So, you know, schedule been hot. You know what I'm saying?
A little bit.
So shouts out to everybody who's coming through in early in the chat. We see y'all, you know what I'm saying? Thank you for rolling through. Drop something in the chat. Let's go and get it going. Lucy Dean, Boogsworthy. Boogsworthy, I ain't seen you in a minute. So what's up? So I figured we take out a little time at the end of this week to talk about the Sha'Carri Richardson issue, the kerfuffle, this, you know, dust up, if you will. Now, if you're not aware of Sha'Carri Richardson, we spoke about her last week when C. Brown was here. We were talking about just like getting into the finals and Olympic trials. She broke a record. She not only broke a record, but she, of course, made it into the Olympics. So since then, that show was like Monday. So since then, there was a report that she had failed a drug test or, you know, PED test, whatever they do. You know what I'm saying? A drug test to, you know, be in the Olympics, and that she would be suspended for 30 days. So that got the rumor mill running, of course. And the failure was for marijuana. So it wasn't like she failed because she was on steroids or anything, but we'll get to that in a minute. So internet gets involved. Everybody, you know, jumping out there for right or for wrong, in or against Sha'Carri Richardson. And even Sha'Carri Richardson comes out and says, hey, look, I had anxiety over my mom's passing, which she made semi-public when she had a interview, a post-race interview, I think at her trial, where her Olympic trial, not court trial. Like, at her Olympic trials, where she spoke about her mother's passing and how it affected her and everything. So that's why she said that she was taking it. And it's well documented that marijuana use can help with anxiety, amongst many other things, CBD and all that stuff. It's well documented as being, you know, all that. So that's the reason she gave. But she said, hey, look, you know, I did it. I'm going to face the suspension. That's what I got to do. That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. So
she said, I'm human.
Yeah, she said, hey, I'm human, but, you know, I did it, so I got to, you know, take the responsibility or whatever. So there's been interesting takes after she said that, because a lot of people were coming out and saying like, yo, it's unfair. You shouldn't suspend her and blah, blah, blah. And I'll add my take in on that for a second. But when she came in, she said, no, hey, look, I did this. And hey, the suspension, what I got to do. And then people still came in like, nah, you shouldn't have to worry about nothing. You know what I'm saying? Even though you did, you know, do this, you shouldn't have to worry about it. So with that said, now the basic ground is laid. Boogsworthy said, Think Peace Twitter had some horrible takes this week. Man, horrible. They stayed with the horrible takes.
Man, Twitter's a scary place, man.
Man, Twitter they be tripping. But so
Twitter's
PL,
a scary block.
So PL, with all that said, how are your initial feelings about this? Because there's some other reports that have come up since that we'll get into, but you know, how do you feel about it in general?
As a advocate of marijuana, I was pissed. I was thoroughly pissed when I saw it. I could see if it was a PED, a performance enhancing drug that she was taking. I could see if maybe she tried to like dilute the sample, like she was trying to hide it or anything.
Yeah.
I could see like where the hubbub or where the fluff could come from. Like I can kind of see it.
Yeah.
But knowing the situation of her dealing with the death of her mom, like it's been well documented, like you said.
Yeah.
We like it come on, man.
That
Like
mixed with the pressure of entering into Olympic trials,
in
because she was doing
2021.
worlds, and then worlds meaning like world tournament or world, for people that might not know, because some people think track is only every 4 years, but like they're running year round basically. You got indoor, you got outdoor, and some people do both. Some people don't, some people do. So you got indoor, outdoor, and they have like world competitions throughout the year. So she's always running. Well, maybe not always, but pretty frequently, you know what I'm saying? So you have coming out of worlds where you have to perform well because, people watch and they want to see and make sure that you're improving or at least at the top of your game. And then, especially against the other women that are running in other countries. And then into the Olympic trials, plus the passing of your mother, that could add a lot of stress. I can see how that could add a lot of stress. I do a little show called The Rent Party. And that week before the show is highly stressful. And that's just a virtual / in-person convention that's nowhere near like San Diego Comic-Con or whatever. So imagine putting the USA on your back and trying to represent to get gold medals and all this mess. Plus having a passing in your family. So, I can see, I can see. And when I heard about it, I was like, dang. You know what I'm saying? I felt kind of let down when I first heard about it. And I was like, oh, man. I mean, I get it, but dang. Kind of like they got her. You know what I'm saying? Because you know how my antennas be up. Sometimes a little bit too up, but my antennas be up. And I was like, I'm one of those people that's like, they're always coming after you. They're always going to come after you, especially since you're just breaking records and stuff. And not really like I was mad at her, more just disappointed, like, damn. Now because what the sports world in general wants to do with Black athletes. They do it a different way with entertainers, but they always want to put an asterisk on your record. They always want to put on like, they were great, but did you know they did this? And not saying, and I know people, I don't want to get into the respectability politics, even though respectability politics have their place, but not a situation where I think you should be perfect because you're Black, because Black people should be able to make mistakes just like anyone else. But then I also understand that we don't live in a bubble and we don't live in a perfect world. And since we live in this world where we're judged by different standards, I have to kind of keep that mess in mind. You know what I'm saying? And you got to keep it in mind. So I kind of felt like, dang, they got her. You know what I'm saying? Not really like I was mad at her, but I was just like, dang. You know what I'm saying? But when I heard that she'd still be able to run the 200, I was like, word, so cool. Yeah. And I don't know if she runs the 4x4 or not.
She is.
It would make sense if she does.
She is.
Yeah, because most sprinters run 100, 200, and 4x4. Rarely will you see sprinters go into like the 1500 and all that crazy. Or even the 400 is kind of a lot for some of them. Just correct. The way the training is just different. So I felt kind of like let down, not really by her, but more just the system of it all. Because there was, and PL, you'll let me know, there was a football player that was complaining about like, it's funny how I always get the random P test. And I can't remember who it was. And they never came up dirty, but he was just like, I'm always randomly tested. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember who it was. So it's like,
I can't remember that either. That was last year. Was last year or the year before?
Yeah, I think it was year before last.
Who was that?
And it just,
I can't think.
It's just one of those things where it's like, dang, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, man.
I'm glad she's still able to run. I was kind of let down, but I know how the sports game is played. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you black, especially if you black and good, like, I mean, first, hold up. Anyone who's running at that level is good, because even when you look at the spread, like the first person and the last person is like separated by like 0.2 of a second. So like all of them are running the 100 like I go to make a glass of water. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's nothing to them. But you know, when you're at that level, you know they're always coming at you, and it's exhausting. You know what I'm saying? So then we get Twitter coming in, and Twitter's like, well, I don't care. She said she owns up to it. I'm not accepting that. She shouldn't have to apologize. She shouldn't have to do this. And I'm like, no, but you got to remember, she don't own the Olympics. So there is a certain game you got to play, because Nike didn't pull out.
She has to hold herself accountable. I love how she handled it.
Yeah.
I love her response. I love how she handled it. She was like, yo, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm not apologizing for what I did, and I will take my consequences as a woman. You'll see me again.
Like, you'll see me again. So, all right, so Lucy Dean comes in and says, actually, the American doctor on the council voted against this, and Congress of Women of Color are coming to her defense and asking for a change of judgment. And we'll see, because I did want to report on that. There is kind of this push to see if they can get it overturned or whatever, because marijuana has never been seen ever as a performance-enhancing drug at any time in history. You can take any social meme, any stand-up comedian, any sketch, it's always about making people more lethargic than making them more like more, I guess, aware. You know what I'm saying? So there is this argument like, well, dude, it's not going to make her faster at all. If anything, it should make her slower, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe more aloof or laid back, you know what I'm saying, if you will. So there is that, and I am interested to see where that goes, because it's weird, because the U.S. is starting to slowly relax its marijuana policies because white people want to make money now. You know, that's a whole nother show. But the rest of the world is still very hardcore against drugs in general. So who knows where that might go? Me personally, I'm like, yo, going and get rid of it, because it's not a performance enhancing drug. So it's a drug, but it's not making you stronger. It's not making you faster. It's not making you more aware or anything.
That's so, like, pretty sure, like, I'm not to be that guy to draw comparisons. Like, I saw this narrative all on Twitter too. But nobody said it correctly.
Okay.
Like, everybody brought up the Michael Phelps analogy, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay, good point.
Nobody, in my opinion, did it correctly. Now, if Michael Phelps is a well-known marijuana smoker, right? You mean to tell me he's never tested positive?
Thank you. And I was going to get into that, because people were saying, well, Michael Phelps has been on weed. He's smoked weed and everything. He's admitted to it, but he's never tested positive. And I was like, if you think he ain't never tested positive,
fam,
Michael Phelps, you have to understand when leagues, because I mean, essentially the Olympic Federation or whatever, I don't have the proper name, but the Olympics have their own federation.
IOC.
The IOC, okay. The IOCs, and then of course the nations within have their own golden boys, all right? Just like people knew that Lance Armstrong wasn't all on the up and up, but he was the golden boy at the time, so he was protected. Michael Phelps, another golden boy, so he was protected. So, you know, Sha'Carri ain't gonna get that protection. But to sit back and be like, oh, well, Michael Phelps, it's like, well, no, he probably did test positive. or I'm pretty sure a latent amount came up in a test or two. But when you have
We
that
gonna look the other
protection to
way.
be like, oh, no,
We
it's
gonna look
clean.
the other way.
Yeah,
We-
it's clean. It's cool. It's clean
It's
enough
cool.
or something like that. You know what I'm saying? They'll make it work for you. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to when it comes to a black athlete, when they want to take you down for the smallest thing you do. So then we get into some crazier takes, but I do want to holler at some people in the chat. Star Drew said, Star Drew talking about the Lance Armstrong doping, and what is it? Kevin Jones said, I feel like her situation was just magnified because of her protest. And of course, Lucy Dean saying marijuana is not a performance enhancing drug at all. Shouts to Lady Honeybee saying, yeah, Japan and South Korea are heavily against Mary Jane, but alcoholism is high in those countries. True that. Funny
high.
how that works. So Shot by Nolan said Phelps is a whole stoner. So of course it doesn't stop. You got a reporter. This is from, I hate to say this, it's from TMZ, guys. I know. I'm gonna give y'all the link. It's TMZ. Look, guys. Sometimes they're the source.
Boy.
I know it's TMZ. I know it's. I understand. Before I even click this, before I even throw this in here. So all right. Here's the link, and basically saying a reporter makes steroid claims. Makes steroid claims on, of course, Sha'Carri Richardson, saying Sha'Carri Richardson, Flojo, Aussie Journal's wild claims must have used roids. Peep those nails. All right. So now, okay, I'm going to try to read this straight up. All right, I'm not. So, an Australian reporter made unfounded claims of doping / steroid use against U.S. sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson and the late Flojo. I don't know why you got to go back to Flojo. I don't know why you got to mess with her. It's been years. I was a child when she would, but whatever. So, okay, all because they used acrylic nails. I guess she like, I got it. You know what I'm saying? I just solved the case. So Claire Lehman, founder of Quillette and the contributor to The Australian, stirred the pot late Friday with a few controversial tweets, the first of which was aimed at Richardson, whom she suggested was using PEDs because of what she perceived as strong nails and hair.
What?
I'm going to read the tweet. So the tweet said, not sure whether nails are real or fake. But in case you didn't know, very strong nails and hair can be a side effect of steroid use. Now, I'm going to break down that one tweet real quick. Not sure whether nails or hair are fake. Whether nails are real or fake. So if you're not sure,
why would you jump out there?
Why don't you wait until you know? Why don't you do? You're an investigative journalist, right? Investigate. All right. So okay. But it's easier to throw something out there because
it's way easier to fabricate.
It's way easier to fabricate. Okay, so then goes on saying, look, people in track know who is and who isn't on the roids. Just because they couldn't ping her on it doesn't mean they don't know. Okay, so now conspiracy gets deeper. So what she says is saying, I don't know, but I think she's using roids. Then goes on to say people in track know who is and who isn't. Just because they couldn't ping her doesn't mean they don't know. So now what she's saying is going further, stating that, her pee test or blood test, however they do it, wasn't clean, but they know she's doing it anyway. So now you've thrown in a whole organization into now, at the same time, I know what you're going to do. You're going to run around and say, yo, NERDSoul, but didn't you just do this like 2 seconds ago? Then you do this talking about Michael Phelps, and I would say, you know what? You're right, except we have proof of organizations protecting white athletes over black athletes. We do not have proof, empirical data meaning proof, over the years of sports of black athletes being protected over white athletes. Meaning, if people are getting pee tested and black athletes are peeing dirty and none of them are getting in trouble, and white athletes are peeing dirty too, and all of them are getting strung up. We don't have that. We don't have that data. So, Homegirl is loud and wrong for a few reasons. You're from Australia.
Way too loud, but like way too loud though.
Like, if you don't like her because she black, that's cool. If you want to throw it in there because she black, that's cool. But you can't say, I don't know if they're real or fake, but strong, long nails are like, then saying that, then making it seem like she's protected, bruh. Like,
by who?
Like, stop it. And Lucy Dean said, forget the fact that in American slavery, they bred us for strength. It's gross, but true. And yes, unfortunately, through, breeding and stuff of that nature, they were trying to make stronger people. Because especially in those days, 17 or 1800s, stuff like that, pseudoscience was rampant at that time. I mean, it's still out there, but at that time, pseudoscience was crazy. So this idea that we could make like the extra powerful slave or something like that, that's a whole nother thing. So the trip is trying to hide racism inside of your loose journalism in the nicest way I can say possible about something you know nothing about. She said, I don't know. I could see if she said, hey, I did the research. Those super long nails, they're real. And someone who can get nails that long, that powerful or whatever, is because they're on performance-enhancing drugs. And then we went to Sha'Carri Richardson, and she'd be like, yes, these are all natural nails. It'd be like, oh, snap, she cracked the case. But she starts out saying, I don't know, but let me stir the pot. And Shot by Nolan said, keep it a stack. That woman is a Nazi. So, all right, so you got that. But you do have people actually speaking out for her as far as the, athlete section goes, which I'll share in a second. So sports.yahoo, which is, Yahoo, which is, what I'm saying, is a little more, better than TMZ. Patrick Mahomes and others speak out after Sha'Carri Richardson's marijuana suspension. And I put that in the chat so y'all can see it. So I'm gonna throw this to you after I read this first piece. It says, plenty of people were outraged on social media after track star Sha'Carri Richardson was suspended after she tested positive for marijuana last month and is now unable to run in the 100-meter dash in Tokyo. And then going further, saying Richardson, the U.S. anti-doping agency said Friday accepted a 1-month suspension after testing positive for THC at the trials. And then Richardson confirmed on the Today Show on Friday that she ingested marijuana days before the trials, shortly after she learned of the death of her biological mother. Say, I know what I did. I know what I'm supposed to do, what I'm allowed not to do, or allowed to and allowed not to do, or whatever. And I still made the decision. So, of course, this goes on, and Patrick Mahomes comes through and says, this is so trash, man. Just let her run. And there's a lot of people that feel that way. So then Alex Morgan comes through, because blue check Twitter, you know how they got to come through and support. You know what I'm saying? When one comes through, the wave follows. So, you got Odell Beckham Jr. coming through, OBJ came through, said this is BS. Alex Morgan saying, feeling so terrible. Just know we are with you. So there is a good side of athletes banding together saying like, hey, this is whack, like we don't like this decision, because I do like that athletes, sometimes agents, rarely, but athletes mostly are starting to realize that they are the league. Or they are the Olympics, you know what I'm saying? You ain't got the Olympics without athletes, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I like the fact that we do have them coming out. And then lastly, I'll throw in Seth Rogen, who is not an athlete, but said, the notion that weed is a problematic drug is rooted in racism. It's insane that Team USA would disqualify one of the country's most talented athletes over thinking that's rooted thinking that's rooted in hatred. It's something that should be that we should be ashamed of. Also, if weed made you fast, I'd be FloJo.
Man.
Yo, because, man, look, if weed made you fast, Snoop, Method Man, and Redman would probably be Olympic athletes.
Man.
Because I've heard from people that have been around them, I've heard they smoke. Like, it's not like, hey, I have like I got, do a little something on the weekend. I got a job, man. I do a little something on the weekend. No, I'm talking about like, I've heard you can go over to some event with them and there's like pounds, but that's hearsay. It can't be accepted in court. But PL, how are you feeling about the what we sort of see as kind of like a social change amongst athletes? Because I was interested to see how athletes would kind of respond to this.
Mm-hmm. I think that, I don't know if you've seen LaMelo Ball's response. I think his was the most hilarious.
Oh Lord.
He said, if it ain't crack, let it run track.
Oh yes. See, this is why. See, I'll let LaMelo Ball slide with that because he's the best ball player right now. Like, LaMelo is the best baller of the ball team. All right.
He said, if it ain't crack, let her run track. And I was dying.
Yo, man, look, it rhymes.
To your point, I really did love seeing all the athletes, both current and former, coming out and advocating for this young lady. Basically calling it what it is, man. In 2021, why are we testing for weed? Yeah. Nobody talks about, like, fun fact, they don't test for weed in hockey.
Really?
Fun fact, they no longer test for weed in baseball.
Huh.
So we have major sports. The only sports,
the IOC is antiquated, I guess you could say then.
Very antiquated. Like the biggest leagues in the world being the biggest hockey league in the world.
Yeah.
Well, that's debatable because these European leagues will say differently.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. The biggest hockey league in the world, the biggest baseball organization in the world, no longer tests for weed. Why are we in 2021?
Yeah, because you can't have a substance that's completely, free and fair to use in a country that you can't have it both ways. Because either A, you test for weed and you test for alcohol, or you don't test for alcohol and you don't test for weed either. You can't have it. You can't be like, hey, this is completely, legal to have, sell, open up businesses, do whatever you want. Y'all, we loving that tax money. But if you use it, something that's completely legal to use, we're gonna ding you, take your record down, take back medals and stuff.
Not to mention, there are countries, NERDSoul, that no longer prosecute drug use. So what do you do with those athletes? Hey, man, in my country, I could do what I want.
Yeah. So the IOC, I'd like to see. We'll see how it goes, because I do want to see where this whole idea of maybe getting it overturned and having her run, because I think even on
I think that's wishful thinking, man.
Here's why I think there's a chance that she could run in the 100. No one wants to see a weak league. No one wants to see a weak competition. No one wants to watch a race where the best people ain't racing. And the IOC does have to deal with that as well. Similar to what we were talking about with Naomi. When we were talking about Naomi a couple of weeks back. Like, am I watching Wimbledon? Am I watching it? No, she her and unfortunately Serena got injured recently. So best players ain't there, so what I'm gonna watch for? So, and I'm pretty sure there has been a dip in viewership, because if the best players ain't there, what I'm watching for? Well, I'm gonna watch. I don't want to watch a weak league for what? It's a waste of my time. Best people ain't here. So, I think there may be an opportunity with that kind of vantage where they'll kind of be like, okay, we'll suspend the suspension for now. like but when you go to like back to Worlds or Diamond League or something like that, you'll have to miss your first race or something like something like that, where they can still get the ad revenue from the 100 and all that, and then kind of kick the can down the road, I guess, maybe.
I don't see it happening, NERDSoul. I don't. Like, I would love for her to let her run. I don't see it happening. I was reading in the article I was reading earlier today was the soonest she can probably come back will be July 27th. And that would be just in time for the relays.
Yeah, I think I did read somewhere where she will still be able to make the 200 and the relays. So, that gives her an opportunity to still, pick up some golds, because if you've been following, I've been following the Worlds and the trials. Now, once again, I'm not one of those people that only watch the Olympics, but I'll be honest. I don't tune into the Worlds until, like, say 6 or so months before the Olympics. So like of course we have the Olympics this summer. So I started watching Worlds around December. So I started, whether it's, the bars, the uneven bars and the Simone Biles and running and doing flips, and that girl be jumping high as I don't know what, but you know what I'm saying? And track and stuff. That's when I started tuning in, because I'd be like, all right, who's hot in them streets? You know what I'm saying? And
us.
Well, I'm a married man. I'm not looking. And another thing, when it comes to
I meant when I said us, like, who's hot in them streets? Like, whenever you look into a sport, whenever it's like the only sport where it really hasn't happened, or it hasn't happened in a while, is golf. Whenever someone really taps into a particular sport, it's always because there's some transcendent person that looks like us coming through and be like, ooh,
true that.
And they get everybody's attention. That's how it works. That's how it works.
And shouts to Shirley said, not to mention it is legal in Washington State, supposedly where she was smoking. Lucy Dean said, in the Netherlands, people smoke out in the street while waiting on the train to work.
Yeah.
And then Shirley came back and said, I think the Jamaicans are breathing a sigh of relief that they won't have to compete against Sha'Carri. Yeah, because let's be honest.
No,
outside of Dina Asher Smith in Britain, outside of her, let's be honest, man. When it comes to sprints, when it comes to the 1, the 200, and the 4x4, it's really the U.S. and Jamaica. Let's be honest. I know. No diss to the Netherlands. No diss to England. You know what I'm saying? But let's be real.
And I'm pretty sure the Jamaicans are highly upset that she won't be there.
Yeah, because nobody wants to have someone say, but you didn't beat the best. Because someone's going to say that. I know someone's going to be like, yo, y'all won, but Sha'Carri won't dare. You know what I'm saying? You didn't play the best, or the best was injured, or whatever. You didn't, like anyone who won, what was it, the Australian Open, and anyone who wins Wimbledon, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I mean, good for you. You didn't beat the best.
Like Chris Paul, you mean?
Now,
like Chris Paul, you mean?
Chris Paul is a different situation. You know what? You know what? All right, so Boothworthy said, also the women's 100 meter is stacked this year. Several women going under 10.7. No one's victory is guaranteed. True. Shabba Nolan said, NERDSoul had to clarify real quick. Yeah, had to make sure y'all knew. But all right, so check this. All right, so because we've covered Sha'Carri. So Sha'Carri, look, if you watch NERDSoul, because I know you watch black outlets. I know you do. I know you can't wait to get on the show. Go on and DM me. I'd love to have you on and interview you after you go get your golds. But Sha'Carri will, we support you. Go on. We're going to put Sha'Carri to the side right now. Let's go on and talk about Chris Paul. The reason I don't feel the same about Chris Paul is because even though he hasn't played the strongest teams due to injuries, it wasn't a situation where these people were disqualified unjustly. You know what I'm saying? So it's what I mean by it is injuries are kind of part of the game, and they suck. Don't get me wrong. I wanted LA. I was saying LA was going to do a three-peat. They messed up my whole prophecy. All right, but someone getting injured, a genuine injury is different than somebody saying, "Oh, you smoke weed, so you can't run or you can't play basketball." So it's like, come on, man. So it's a little different. Those people were honestly injured. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like Phoenix went out and went into it. It was coming out the locker room and was like, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm injured," and they was like, "Yeah, sleep." And it was like, no, that didn't happen. So it's a genuine injury. Now, have the basketball gods shined on them this year? Yes. They better win them finals, because if they don't win them finals, I'm gonna be like, look, nothing else can help y'all. All right? Because y'all have had the most. I don't know if y'all was putting hoodoo dust on somebody. I don't know what y'all was doing. But all I know is y'all have had a very interesting run through the playoffs.
A cakewalk.
They've had a very interesting run. LA was injured. Then they played.
Denver was injured.
Oh, go ahead.
LA was injured. LeBron was still recovering. No AD.
No AD.
Then you played Denver. Yep. No Jamal Murray.
At all.
Then you just played the Clippers. No Kawhi Leonard.
Nope.
At all. You skirt on, you don't have to play the Nets in the finals because Kyrie and Harden got hurt.
Yeah.
You might not play Giannis in them because Giannis is hurt. And if you play Atlanta, if Atlanta beats them, Trae Young is hurt. Man, if this
Yo, that's what I said. But at the same time, I like Chris Paul, man. Chris Paul has been a good dude. He's never really been in no BS. I mean, yeah, he put a little Beijing in his hair, but I mean, look, it's
he's never what?
He put a little Beijing in there before.
No, I ain't talking about that. You said he's never been in no BS.
He's never really been in
no BS.
He
is the king of the BS.
Okay, give me examples. Come on now.
Huh?
Real examples.
Okay. How about let's go back to his college days when he punched Julius Hodge.
We talking college?
I'm just dating how it.
You're providing a history.
I'm
Okay.
showing a pattern of history.
All right.
It
Gotcha.
began with punching Julius Hodge in the nether regions in the ACC conference tournament,
That was an accident.
and then it dates back to as recently as a couple days ago, where he instigated a beef with Patrick Beverly. He said something so egregious to Patrick Beverly, he made the bully jump completely out of character and pushed this man in the back.
I mean, did he? Did he? I didn't hear anything.
I know. I know. I know. I know. I know. I know.
I know. But yes. But that's trash talk. Trash talk be happening. You know what I'm saying? Trash talk be happening.
Okay.
I can't let it. I'll give you the nut punch. The nut punch.
Let's leave the trash talk alone. Right. That same game where they when they close out against the Clippers, in the same game, he goes to the basket and he scores. He sees that Boogie Cousins is grabbing the ball out of the net to grab the rebound, and he sees his elbow and he runs straight into Boogie Cousins' elbow, getting a technical foul and a flagrant foul on Boogie Cousins. He turns, he looks right at the referee and does this. That's your dude, fam.
I'm not saying he's my dude. I'm just saying, like, yo,
we advocating for that.
All right, now hold on. Chris Paul has been injured forever. All right, and he finally once he gets a chance to get the ring, man. Come on, man. Now, of course,
all I'm saying is he better win. He better not lose.
If he loses,
he better not lose.
If he loses, people are never gonna forgive him, man, because they're never gonna forgive Phoenix, because
they will forgive Phoenix because the rest of the team is young. They'll forgive them.
Yeah.
If they don't win this chip, ain't a Cliff Paul commercial he could do that could bring him back to life.
Not a Cliff Paul though.
Not a fam. He better win.
And Shot by Nolan said fans definitely putting an asterisk beside CP3.
2 asterisks.
Oh man.
2 asterisks.
Homie had mad injuries. Like Phoenix, I don't know what the Phoenix did, man. I don't know if they did they did a chant in a circle for injuries or something. I don't know what they did, but every team, and it wasn't like somebody on the bench got injured. Like main folks.
The main stars of every team.
Yo, man. Look, Chris Paul, I want you to get a ring because you've been in the league. You've been a solid player. I feel you're one of those players that need to have reached the highest heights. This season has shined on you. I'll just say that. This season, it has worked out for you. So you need to go in and I don't want to hear no complaints.
Could you imagine if they don't win the chip?
If they don't win, people gonna be talking about CP3 forever. They're gonna be like CP3, was never worth the hype or whatever, and is gonna be bad.
And I don't say any of this to discredit him or any way, shape, or form. I respect CP3. I'm just keeping it a buck, though.
And Shot by Nolan said, yeah, Phoenix didn't bring out a crowbar and ambush players before the series or nothing.
It felt like they did, though.
Yo, man, maybe they paid some people to I don't know.
They Tanya Harding the whole league.
They Tanya Harding the whole West Coast.
Fam.
Yo, man. Yo, look.
Like everybody went out with knee and ankle injuries. Everybody.
They had to do my man like that. Guys, with that said.
Oh, man.
Chris Paul, I know you watch the show every week. We love you. You know what I'm saying? We hope. Look. I
We
want you to
love you,
win.
fam, but you better win.
I want you to win. You know what I'm saying? I want you to come through.
You
I want you
better
to
win,
shine.
fam.
You know what I'm saying? I want you to shine. I want you to win. Because if you don't,
because if you boy,
man, if you don't win, I don't know.
Fam, don't let the most untalented MVP ever win his first ring over you.
Oh,
If that
not
dude
the most
wins
untalented MVP. You know what?
ever.
He may be in the top 3 most untalented.
No. It's not NERDSoul. This is not up for debate. This is not up for argument. He is the most untalented, unskilled MVP ever.
I think they just wanted to give it to him. I think they were like,
if that dude,
I think it was one of those great white hype things where they were just like, word.
I don't know what he's done. I don't know. I'm not going to assume anything. If that dude wins a ring before you, CP3,
with the postseason you've had.
Hey man, check this out.
And Shabbat Nolan said Boogie gets a tech as soon as he leaves the locker room.
Fam, that's not fam. That ain't fair, man. Shout out Boogie Cousins. I know you watching, Boogie. Shout out.
Yo, you know what I'm saying? So guys, look, that's it. That's all we got. Look, we've been kicking it. Look, that's all we got. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Sha'Carri, we here. You know what I'm saying? Hope you get in the 100, but if not, you know what I'm saying? Look, 200, that 4x4, I love to see. Man. You know what I'm saying? Also, to the breakdance competition, I'm very interested to see how that goes down. And the Street Fighter competition in the Olympics, I'm really interested to see how that goes down.
And not a USA contestant in either one. Ain't that about a blip?
Man, look,
how's there, real quick, just 2 seconds, how we ain't got no representatives in breakdancing?
Man, you hate to see it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Huh?
I would suggest that the reason why is because over time there has been less and less emphasis on the admiration for the practice of the exhibition of the fullness of hip hop. But that's a whole nother argument. That's a whole nother show. That's an episode of BVL. And I know people going, I'm trying not to make it an old young thing. I'm just saying over time. But I know that gets into an old young thing. I'm not here for age wars or gender wars. I'm just saying that may lead to why we're not as strong. It's been a long time since I've even heard of a breakdance competition. And I'm talking about, last one I could think about that I attended was 2008-ish, 9-ish, something like that. So it's been a minute. And I'm not super dialed in, but I'm dialed in enough. Now I know there's LA has every year it's not a competition, but it's like a b-boy.
Yeah.
What is it? It's like a b-boy kind of like a b-boy weekend where people come together.
Like a summit. I want to say it's called the B-Boy Summit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, B-Boy Summit. That's what it is. Yes. So, you do have that, but as far as how it used to be, not as much. And it kind of hurts that there's no U.S. representation in that. It's kind of sad. And Jenna James says, man, that shell from Bev, LMAO. Nah, CP3 made it to the finals. PG has not. Ooh. NBA Twitter are going to treat CP3 like Paul George if they don't win.
Worse.
You know what? We're going to end on that.
Yeah, man.
With that said, US, I'm going for I really want to see the Street Fighter competition. I want to see the breakdance competition. very interested to see how those go down. And we'll see what goes on with Sha'Carri, and we will see y'all next week sometime. So before we get out of here, right over here, PL, where can they find you?
ParkerPLLewis.com, at ParkerPLLewis on all streaming, all social media. Just hit me up, say hi.
Yeah. And Jenna James says, wait, that's in the Olympics. This is the first time hearing breakdancing. Yeah. They were going back and forth for years, where it was supposed to be in last Olympics, but then they were like, nah. And then they've been going back and forth, and they finally made it in. So it'll be in this year.
Breakdancing, street fighting, and I want to say skateboarding are all new events this year.
Yeah, but then it makes me wonder if they're going to do skateboarding. It makes me wonder about like the X Games. But then at the same time, I'm like, nah, because you have soccer in the Olympics and the World Cup still exists. And the World Cup is still, So you can still have Street Fighter 5 in the Olympics and still go to Evo, because Street Fighter 5 is, honestly, Street Fighter 5 ain't even the hotness in the streets now that Guilty Gear is out. You know what I'm saying? I haven't touched Street Fighter in months. But I still want to watch it because, it's Street Fighter, man. I remember being at skating rinks with, the cabinet. And it's like, dun, 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 dun. You put it. So it's Street Fighter. It's one of those things that have always been around. So with that said, guys, NERD, SOUL, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, hit that like button, share it, tell all your peoples. Do not hide your love for that nerd soul. And, of course, do not forget to give love to the albums from PL Parker Lewis, Arckatron, and War Hassan. They out there dropping heat in them streets. We got podcasts for you, Spotify for that music. Don't sleep. I'm mad that I only get like a penny, like a fraction of a penny. But look, until I'm big enough to do my own personal distribution, I guess I got to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I get my little shillings, and hey. But with that said, we're gonna leave y'all with PL Parker Lewis, and do not forget that Arckatron is going to be coming through in the clutch with some dope beats. So from us to you, we say thank you for watching. And until next time, peace. Peace. We are out. A woo, and a woo for you. Peace, y'all.
I'm the man, yes sir, that killed the bare-handed so the people won't forget it. Getting money for I would label the drink. I care what a broke nigga think.
Just like the Parker Lewis.
Look, everything I do so cold. I can do this, both eyes closed. Too short, I stay on my toes. About that guap boy, anything goes. Help the bear if we outside. Help the bear if we outside. Still tipping, baby, nothing changed. I'm still grinding over here, yeah. Still sliding through my own lane. Shorty, nothing funny over here. Dollars rain everywhere around me. Dream to get money. Made it through the storm, living sunny. Dreams came true, now we eating. I got more dreams to chase, gotta reach them. Trying to put a team together like the Hunger Games. Everybody grind together, we all came from Hunger.